Hello. So, welcome to the Everything Happens for a Reason podcast. And I think we all know that this has been a long time coming. So, you girls know what way I am. I can talk for the absolute country, I can literally talk for everybody. So, I thought I would just come off social media, come off Instagram a wee bit, and start doing longer form videos as well, just to cover different topics more so than anything else. So, the reason behind this podcast in general, so everything happens for a reason. I'm the biggest believer in that. I think the way our life path is designed literally comes from we go through different motions, we go through different actions in our lives, and whatever happens, whether it's a blessing or not, if it doesn't feel like one at the time, it probably still is a blessing. Whatever happens is going to actually lead you to another thing. So everything, I truly do believe that everything does sort of work out the way it needs to, even if it doesn't feel like that at the time. So in this podcast, we're going to be covering everything from my lifestyle to interviewing different people as well about their lifestyle, how I sort of got to where I'm at today, potentially where I want to get to, because we're not done, we're nowhere near done, and why I think my path was the way it was, or what happened in my life and my day-to-day job and stuff like that led me to get to where I'm at today. But we're going to be covering everything. So lifestyle, why things work out the way they do, business, because you girls know me and I am an online coach, of course. So I run my own business and have done so for quite a long time now. So I will be covering a lot more about that as well, and I'll be interviewing different people, just talking about themselves, their business, fitness as well. Obviously, being an online coach, we have to keep the fitness in there. I just would feel wrong if I didn't. So, busting any fitness myths, is that the word I'm looking for? It is. Busting any myths out there. We're going to be covering all of that. So let's get cozy, get into my own journey and where I sort of started from. So originally, a lot of you don't actually know this, so if you've came off my Instagram or whatever, I'm actually Lithuanian. My name's Aiste, and I'm Lithuanian. Grew up in Lithuania, moved to Ireland, Northern Ireland to be precise, whenever I was 7 years old. So a lot of people call me Northern Irish, but I'm still going off the Lithuanian, okay, even though English is basically my first language at this stage. So that's essentially where it all started. So grew up in Lithuania, moved to Northern Ireland whenever I was 7, and I've lived there majority of my life, and now I have actually moved to Dubai, which has been a big move, solo move. Not too long in the making, to be honest. The first time I came out to Dubai, I absolutely fell in love with it and decided I'm going to move here very soon. So that's how it all went down. But we will get into all of that anyway. But basically where everything sort of started for me, whenever I was in school, I was a wee shit, to be honest. That's just putting it bluntly. I was really smart in terms of I got everything done and I got top grades and everything else that you needed, but I just didn't care at all about school. I didn't enjoy it whatsoever. I was going to go to university in England, actually. Where was I going to move? It was Portsmouth or something. I was going to go to university there, and it was, to be completely honest, just for the sake of moving away from where I lived, because I didn't like the small town I live in. And in the I actually ended up not going, but I will get into that in a lot more detail anyway, and my reason behind it. But that's sort of where I started getting more into fitness, and where I started my business, should I say, more so than anything. But so throughout school, absolute wee shit, didn't care for it, didn't enjoy it, was going to go to uni just to be a sheep. And honestly, a part of this podcast is just going to be to inspire a lot of you younger listeners that are maybe in school or planning to go to university or whatever the case is, and you're sort of in two minds about it. My opinion is you don't need it, okay? You can do what you want to do without actually going to uni. Now, in saying that, if you're looking to be a doctor or something like that, maybe go to university, because we're a surgeon. I don't really trust you cutting me open without a degree. But unless you actually need it for medical or whatever other degrees you might need and to get into the job that you want to get into, there's a lot of easier ways about it, especially if it's just never something that you essentially thought that you were going to do yourself. So for me, never wanted to go, didn't care for it, was literally just going to go because I didn't know what I was doing with my life. So what age are you at that time? Like 18, I would say. So yeah, that was what I had put in action for myself. About a month beforehand, I had my apartment, everything booked. My pure father was actually going to go over there for a week with me just to help me settle in because I was moving countries at 18. About a month beforehand, somebody asked me how do I feel about going, and I just burst out crying and decided to tell my family that I wasn't actually going to go. So yeah, that went really, really well. So obviously I didn't end up going. I told myself I'm going to take a gap year. That's essentially where my career path started. I told myself I'm going to take a gap year, and here I am 7 years later. It's been a very, very long gap year, to be completely honest with you. Very, very long. So yeah, I'm still here. I never made it back. I have absolutely no intentions of going to university. And yeah, at the minute, what am I doing? I am running my own business. As I said, I'm an online coach, building a brand. I have a team on board with me now, which has been super, super exciting. And yeah, it's just been building blocks ever since. But essentially, the way I look at it is, at the minute, I'm very, very pleased. I'm very, very happy with where I am in terms of being able to run my own business and being able to live the lifestyle that I want to live, and doing it all on my own terms, because I was never going to be a 9-to-5 office girly. It just wasn't for me whatsoever. I was never going to do that. Probably would have done it for a short term and hated it, but I was very, very lucky to fall into something that I have so much passion about and that I love doing. And yeah, if you don't know me, you will very, very soon get to know that I'm so passionate about my job. I'm so passionate about what I do for a living, helping women become more confident and everything else. Like, it's what I strive for. It's my motivation every single day. My clients are my biggest inspiration. They always have been. So I'm very, very fortunate to have fallen into that field and figuring out what I loved very quickly. But that also came from not knowing what I wanted to do. I didn't think personal training or online coaching or anything within that fitness industry was going to be a real job, and not in the long term for me anyway. My plan, yes, whenever I was going to go to university, which I never made, my plan originally was to do health and fitness management or something along them lines. So I was always going to go down that sort of route, and that was essentially the plan of action, is to get a job in the gym, whatever that meant. A manager in the gym, I think. Health and fitness management, that's what you would get, isn't it? I don't know. I thought I wanted to own a gym. I don't want to own a gym anymore, I realized. But yeah, initially going into that, that's the route that I was planning to take. Clearly, even by me talking now, you can tell I was very uncertain, didn't know where my path was going, didn't know what I wanted to do or why I was going to do it. So I'm very, very glad that I didn't, essentially. So yeah, ended up not going. Had a passion for the gym, had a passion for health and fitness, which I will do a whole separate episode on, about how I sort of got into my own fitness journey, because I feel like a lot of people don't actually know that, even from my social media and stuff. So I will go into a lot more detail, because I feel like I can on this longer form type of content, of how I got into my own journey. But I had a passion for it, absolutely loved the gym. It was just a hobby to me, and yeah, I always wanted a job, essentially, that I was going to be passionate about and that didn't feel like a job. So here I am. But in all seriousness, basically what I decided to do was a personal training course. So you have to do like 2 courses, level 2 and level 3. Level 2 I had actually already done in school, very randomly, and then I needed to do my level 3 to get onto the gym floor and be able to take one-to-one clients, which is something I always thought I was gonna do on the side of my real job, whatever that means. I don't know what my real job was going to be, by the way. So I always thought I would, finish my degree, I would have this job in the gym or wherever, and then I will do personal training on the side. Then I actually got my personal training qualifications, got into a gym and started taking clients, and yeah, here I am today. So I'm now fully online. I no longer work in the gym. I left the gym floor in May 2022 and have been online coaching ever since, and we can thank COVID for that. And honestly, like, COVID, yes, it was an awful time for all of us, but best thing that's ever happened to me. And I truly do believe, if we go back to everything happens for a reason, I needed COVID to happen for me to actually excel in my business and do what I really wanted to do without completely burning myself out. Because on the gym floor, I started getting busy, and I loved the one-to-one interaction. I was so passionate about it. I really did love it. But yeah, you were up at basically 5 a.m. every morning, in the gym for 6, home for 12. You know, you have about 2 hours to yourself, and most of the time I literally went and took a nap because I was exhausted. Then I would go back and do my own training and work 5 to 10 p.m. again. That's just the way the personal training industry works. So if any of you are considering that job, just make sure you go into it knowing exactly what you have to put in. And don't get me wrong, that graft was completely necessary, because the Glute Girl, which is my brand, would never exist if I didn't put in those hours. Like, running your own business is exhausting. Running your own business while still being on the gym floor, having to be interactive and everything else, it is a lot. And if any of you are considering going down that route, just know what you're actually stepping into. Getting clients initially when you're starting is hard. I was delusional and literally thought, oh yeah, I'm getting my qualification, I'm getting a job in the gym, the clients are just going to come to me. No, they're not, because they don't know you, they don't know who you are, and they don't know what you're there for. Do you know what I mean? So that's never ever going to be the case in any way whatsoever. You have to put yourself out there. You have to give value to people. You have to give them a reason to actually come to you, for whatever the reason might be. But yeah, that's not what we're here to talk about anyway. But yeah, COVID, blessing, absolute blessing. I loved it. The first lockdown, not so much, because I actually didn't have a job, because I wasn't doing online at this time. The first lockdown was a wee bit scary. I think we all felt the exact same way. By the second one, nobody really cared about anything anymore. But yeah, second lockdown, I launched my online coaching business alongside my personal training, obviously. The gyms were closed, so I couldn't take clients in the gym. So that's when I started taking clients online. And it made me realize what potential is actually out there. And it actually made me realize that I can help so many more girls become more confident. I could provide so much more knowledge and education outside of the gym floor. Like, online coaching is the way forward, essentially, and you can really help so many more people. And as soon as I realized that, and as soon as I actually realized that I don't have to be on the gym floor 12 hours a day, you don't need to be doing that, and the freedom that came with that, the flexibility of my job, that's where I was hooked. So for a long time then, I grafted between the two. I was doing a mixture of both, started cutting back my PT hours, and yeah, made the final move then in, like I said, May 2022, and took my business fully online, and I have never looked back since. My dream always has been, well, I knew I wouldn't stay in the UK. I knew I was always gonna live by a beach, and yeah, live a lifestyle that I want to live. Like, I want to be getting up in the mornings and going for my hot girl walks and grabbing a coffee. You can't do that in a lot of jobs, do you know what I mean? And yeah, you're not a hot girl at 5 a.m. with about 4 hours of sleep in you because you were working the night before on the gym floor, constantly in gym gear. We're not giving that vibe off. So yeah, a change needed to be made, and I knew I was always going to move away, but I didn't know where. And yeah, if it wasn't like all of those wee things aligning for me, I wouldn't be in Dubai now. And yeah, I've got my visa here, I've registered my business here, the move has been made final, you know, so everything sort of worked out for me in my favor and the way I wanted it to. But there was a lot that happened in between that didn't work out at the time. Like, when I didn't go to uni, I generally had a mental breakdown because I didn't know what I was going to do in my life whatsoever. I didn't know what path I'm going to take. I didn't even know what I wanted to be or where I wanted to end up. Like, I didn't know any of that. But me pulling out of that and actually trusting my gut of not wanting to go and not feeling ready to go is how I ended up in the field that I'm in. Like, if I would have went to university, I probably would have been a manager in a gym, and like, I wouldn't have seen any fulfillment with that job. Maybe eventually then my path would have changed again, but that's where I would be at my age now, because I would have went to uni, yeah, I think my course was like 3 or 4 years. It must have been 4 years. I think you need like a year's experience or whatever. So I would have came out of university at 23, 24 and only getting started, whereas now I've been running my own business, building a brand for the last 7 years basically. I'm 25 now, halfway to 50. It's actually a wee bit scary, but look, we're thriving. Everybody says you thrive in your 30s now, so I've still plenty of time yet. But yeah, if that did, like, if my path didn't work out the way it did, I wouldn't be where I am today. And then going into the gym floor, if COVID didn't happen, I would have never took my business online. I actually never even believed in online coaching, which is extremely biased for me to say. I never believed in it. I just didn't understand how you can coach somebody over a laptop and get them results. Whereas now, my girls are smashing it. I'm getting more results, or they're getting more results as well than they ever would have on the gym floor. And the way you need to look at that, I suppose, as well, because a lot of people do be like, whenever I have consultation calls, they're like, I want the one-to-one that you would have on the gym floor, because I feel like that'll hold me more accountable. On the PTs on the gym floor, they're just there for you to actually get a workout in. They're just there to push you through that session, maybe twice a week for 45 minutes. Your online coach is there for you literally every minute of every day. Don't text them at 3 a.m. Do you know what I mean? Like, let the person sleep or whatever, but they're there to support you constantly. And it's not just about a workout. You get everything. You get the nutrition, the guidance that you need. You get the workout plan that you need. You get the constant support, accountability, education. That will all hold you so much more accountable than you realize. And like I said, I didn't even know that myself. And I didn't believe in how it could work until I trialed it and realized, one, I can help people outside of my local area, because I was so limited to the small town that I was living in. That's all that the only people that I could help were from there and in the surrounding area. Now I work with females online. I have clients in Australia. I have clients in Germany. I have clients actually here, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, the UK. My clients are everywhere, and it doesn't make a difference. The time difference doesn't actually change anything. The location doesn't change anything, because we can just communicate literally every single day regardless. So I love that aspect. I really, really do love that aspect. But yeah, if it wasn't for COVID, I would have never even experienced that online coaching. And then once I realized that was my next move, then essentially moving my whole business online, which all then worked out in my favor, because moving my business online meant that I could move away from home where I didn't want to be. Whereas if I was still on the gym floor, I would be limited to that location, because that's where my job was as well. And yeah, last year I started traveling, and this year has been a freaking brilliant year. I have absolutely loved it. And yeah, this year has been just one of them years where I push myself out of my comfort zone. I'm starting a podcast. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you knew me this time last year, I wouldn't even have told you where I'm going or nothing. Now I'm here to tell you my whole life story. But yeah, a lot has changed over the last year in my life in general, for the best possible reasons. Like, started traveling, went to a lot of places solo this year as well. So I actually went to Bali last year in December, and that's where it all essentially started for me. Went to Bali and then came home from Bali, and one of my friends messaged me basically to come out to Dubai for a wee bit. Dubai was never something that was even on my to-do list. I didn't even consider it. I always wanted to come here for a holiday, maybe for a week or whatever, do all the touristy things. But yeah, I ended up coming here for 6 weeks, and there was a reason that I was meant to come out here, because as soon as I came out, I felt so settled. I felt so just content. It was absolutely crazy. Like, I literally moved about an 8-hour flight away from home, and I didn't feel any different. I actually felt more content here than I did at home, which didn't make any sense whatsoever. So Bali, I really thought that's where I was going to end up. Actually, I went to Bali, loved it, really enjoyed it, and I thought I was going to come back but on my own. Then sort of like in around April time was my plan to go back and actually stay there for a good couple of months and just live there for a wee while. Yeah, ended up coming to Dubai in February for 6 weeks. Came for the 6 weeks, and yeah, I've moved here now. So that's how that worked out. No, fell in love with it, fell in love with the environment, the atmosphere. absolutely loved how motivating the city is, and yeah, it's by the beach. I always said I will I will live somewhere that's close to water. Love the city vibes. It's just a bit of me overall. Love how driven everybody is with work. This is my environment. And yeah, anyway, and then went home, back to the UK, sort of in around March time essentially, and just sort of stayed there for a wee while. Done some trips on my own in between. Went to Valencia in Spain just for a wee weekend. Went to Morocco in between with one of my friends. Did quite a lot of traveling this year. Went to Malta, and then basically I started a bodybuilding prep, which is another thing I never seen myself doing. So yeah, started that in July, and it was just, like I said, this year was just one of those years for me where I was doing absolutely everything for me to push myself out of my comfort zone, get my confidence back, and just essentially just excel in my own lifestyle. So that's exactly what I did this year, and stepping on stage for me was one of the biggest goals I've probably ever set myself on a personal level, in terms of confidence, in terms of the dedication that was required for it as well. And just in general, I always said that I wanted to experience the experience of doing a prep that intense for my business. I always felt like it would benefit my business, and it definitely did benefit off the back end of it, because I learned more about myself, I learned more about my body, and I also learned more to offer a better service for my girls as well when it comes to coaching in general. So yeah, that was probably quite a big milestone. And anyway, I started that prep in July, and I always said I will come back out to Dubai in September for 2 months to finish off my prep, because I seen the gym industry here. I seen how hard people train. I seen how unreal everybody looks in the gym. You're never gonna feel good in the gyms in Dubai, I swear to God. But yeah, like, then I needed that sort of environment where people are prepping, everybody's pushing themselves, everybody's just ready to give it their all when they go into the gym, and conversations are just different. Like, me going to a beach club with my bowl of chicken and a couple of rice cakes is actually normal here. If I did that back home, yeah, people would actually think I'm a freak. And I don't blame them, to be honest, but a lot more understanding of the lifestyle when you're here. So I always said I'd come back out in September and October, and that's exactly what I did on my own. And really just basically I had a normal day-to-day routine, worked every day. I wasn't going out, I wasn't drinking, I wasn't even able to eat out. So I feel like that was probably the best time for me to come out, because I really had to just be there and be comfortable on my own with my own thoughts a lot of the time. And all I sort of did was just live my day-to-day life, wake up, go for a walk or whatever, do my cardio, go to the gym, work throughout the day, food shop, meal prep, all of that. I was very isolated in that sense, and the reason that I wanted to do that throughout the months that I was prepping is because I wanted to see how I will feel being completely alone, essentially being completely alone, like through an isolated time, and how I would still feel when I'm out here. Because one thing that people always say is, like, whenever you move away, you almost try to keep yourself busy all the time by going out or eating out all the time. You almost forget what it's like to live there until you have to sit there on your own. And yeah, I actually did mine backwards. I didn't go out. The first time I came out here, or whenever I came out in September, October, I literally just sat isolated on my own, and I had an absolute ball. Felt completely settled. So yeah, that's how I knew Dubai's where I'm gonna be settling by the looks of it. So yeah, I went home then for the show. Absolutely loved the experience, absolutely loved it. And then I made the move back here in December, and that is me settled here for now anyway, definitely. So yeah, like I said, I knew the UK was never going to be my home. Don't get me wrong, miss my family, miss my friends, miss everybody that are back there, but we have FaceTime and everything for that now. But yeah, the anxiety I have going back home is actually crazy. As soon as I land, I'm like, it's just scary. Like, the environment is just different. Whereas here, as soon as I landed, I just felt settled. Like, even coming back out this time round, I literally landed, I went and checked into my apartment, done my food shop, and that was me. Like, just back to work, back to business, back to the gym. It didn't even feel like I was moving away. It is the weirdest experience ever. But yeah, that's just a wee bit, I suppose, about me and how I got to where I'm at today in regards to that. But we're going to be covering a lot more of that now moving forward. But yeah, I just wanted to walk you through my journey in general, just because I am the biggest believer of everything happens for a reason. And I feel like the way my path was laid out for me, like, even though I was shit myself when I didn't go to uni, even though I hated school, do you know what I mean? Like, all of those aspects. Lockdown happening, the first one was scary because I didn't have a single income coming in. Gyms were closed, I couldn't coach clients. But then the second one essentially made me venture into something I didn't even believe in at the time, or I didn't even believe that it would work, for it to then become my full-time job. Me doing a sporadic trip to Dubai with a girl I didn't even know, by the way. I've met her once and we had about a 5-minute conversation, ended up freaking living together, which is not like me at all either. So, but that sporadic decision actually worked out in my favor on so many levels, because I just knew this was gonna be it for me. And if it wasn't for her sending me a message basically to come out, I would have never went. Like, Dubai would have just been potentially a holiday destination that I would have ended up going in September or something, but that's all it would have ever been. So there was a reason I was meant to be there, and there was a reason I was meant to essentially come out here. So yeah, this is what we're in for basically. So like I said, this podcast is just going to be covering loads of topics in general about myself. I'm going to have lots of guests coming on as well, talking from business, fitness, their life, like relationships, whatever else, if they believe that everything happens for a reason, if their paths were aligned in a particular way. And that can change at any time at all. But yeah, I just thought, if you know me on a personal level, you know that the podcast name I decided on is literally me in a nutshell. Like, I am completely delulu. Like, when it comes to the universe, I am delusional. I believe in absolutely everything. I just think we're just here as entities essentially, and yeah, we're all energy, we're all aura. So show up as the best version of yourself, do you know what I mean? And you have to go through shit to become a better person and everything else. And I can vouch for that too, because I used to be a wee devil, to put lightly, and I would consider myself a pretty chill person now. But yeah, everything you go through happens for a reason, and it'll actually just end up building on you as well. And you can go look at it two ways too. If you go through a shitty situation, you can either come out stronger and a better person in the end up, or you can just turn into a dick essentially. So that choice is yours, and whatever choice you decide to make is going to come down to how you want to feel and how you want your path to be aligned. So yeah, on this podcast, we're empowering, we're educating, and we're leveling up. Okay, we're not gonna have any bad energy around here, trust me, not around me. I'll cut you off. But all jokes aside, I hope you are all excited for what's to come, and thank you so much for joining me on my first episode anyway. Make sure that you drop a wee follow to my social media pages and that side of things. But I will be posting every single Wednesday, 10 a.m. UK time, on YouTube and on Spotify as well. But yeah, there's lots and lots of different topics to be covered, lots of guests to be coming on board. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And yeah, stay on top of my socials as well, because I'll be doing different Q&As and just covering what you all want to essentially hear, or what you all want to know about me. But thank you so much for listening. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you next Wednesday.